Jen from Platypus Education Group, and welcome to another online education video. Today we're going to be looking at nature treasures. Now you might think you have to go somewhere like the ocean or a jungle or a forest to find really exciting and interesting nature, but you don't. You can find it in your very own garden, no matter how big or small your garden is. If you've got some flowers or some plants, I guarantee you, you've got some exciting nature there. The reason I decided to make this video is because a couple of days ago we actually found a very exciting creature in our garden. We found a type of crayfish. Now, I knew we had these in our garden because normally we have lots of claws we find, because we obviously have lots of crayfish, but we also have lots of cheeky kookaburras in our garden too, and they like to eat the crayfish. But to find a live one crawling around was super exciting. I live in the Dandenong Ranges in Victoria, and we have two species of burrowing crayfish. These are different to freshwater crayfish and yabbies, as burrowing crayfish live underground and are terrestrial species, which means they like to live on land, not in the water. In the Dandenong Ranges there are two species of burrowing crayfish, the Dandenong burrowing crayfish and the tubercle burrowing crayfish. I think this one's the tubercle burrowing crayfish, as it's much more common and prefers to burrow further up the slope away from the creek. The tubercle burrowing crayfish tries to make itself look bigger and scarier when it's attacked by a predator. That's why it's got that big claw at the front. Wasn't that so cool? Aren't I really lucky to have stuff like that in my garden? I think everyone has really exciting bugs and creatures in their garden if they actually just stop to look. So I contacted a friend of mine, Christina from Leap Into Nature, and I asked her what sort of cool things is she finding in her garden. So let's take a look.
So here we have a parasitoid wasp. These guys are fascinating creatures. So what they do is actually the female lays their eggs into other insects such as an aphid, which you'll see in the next photo, and the egg actually hatches and develops inside the aphid, and the adult then eats its way out of the aphid. So the aphid ends up dying, but the wasp is therefore an organic form of pest control, because the aphids would otherwise be eating our plants and veggie plants and that sort of thing. So a really good native wasp insect to have in your garden, and fascinating to watch too, but very small, so you really have to open your awareness and your observation skills in your garden. So lots of native flies you can find in our gardens as well. This is a beautiful coloured iridescent green colour, and I think the fly spotted me there filming it, and but then it still proceeded to look like it was washing its hands, which I thought was really cute for a fly. But the fly have really short antennae, so that's one way to tell that you're looking at a fly. And if you compare that now to our honeybee, they have really long black antennae. So that's a really good way to distinguish between bees and flies. So this is the European honeybee. There's lots of different native bees that you can see in our garden. Often they're just small little black insects that you might come across, but I guess the honeybees are really well known. Obviously you don't want to get too close because they can sting. But they are very cute to look at, and their fairy little bodies do a really great job in collecting all the pollen as they're sucking out their nectar with their long tongue there, called the proboscis. And sometimes you'll also be able to see little pollen sacs, little orange little bag type things hanging off their back legs, which is where they store their pollen as they move from flower to flower. But just watching them I find is a really peaceful and mindful, calming thing to do. And lastly, this is a paper wasp. Again, you don't want to get too close to these guys. They do have a pretty nasty sting. So best to stay away from these guys and view from a distance. But that's just a really quick little brief intro of a few insects you might find in your backyard while you're in lockdown.
Oh, thanks Christina, that was so cool. Isn't Christina so lucky to have all those beautiful bugs and insects in her garden? Make sure you check out Leap Into Nature's Facebook page and website for more interesting activities and adventures that you can do in nature as well. But I'm feeling really inspired now. I think I'm going to go and have another look in my garden, so let's go and have a check. Let's see. Okay, I hope that's inspired you now to go out and have a look in your garden for all different types of creatures and insects and bugs and birds and all sorts of things you might find out there. But remember, as with all of nature, we look, but we try not to touch too much, especially creatures like bugs and insects that might have stingers or bites that might really hurt us. So just make sure you stay safe, enjoy the beautiful nature all around you, and have a great day, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.